Hello everyone, this is Teresa Walter. Today we're going to talk about AccessOne. It is our one solution for business management here at First Data, and it is our solution for making First Data easier for you to do business with here at First Data. AccessOne provides one login, one single sign-on for you as a client, as well as your merchants and or headquarters. The settlement platforms that it supports is Omaha, North, and Memphis. The authorization networks that we've integrated into the system are Omaha, Nashville, North, Bypass, as well as PayEasy through Compass. So what some of our clients are saying about the tool that are actually already using it is that it's really saving them a lot of time. Really particularly when it comes to boarding accounts and having more information available at their fingertips, which they previously didn't have before, particularly for retail clients, as well as wholesale, who don't have to rely on our RoNet reporting anymore because many of those reports are actually being driven into this tool. It's had a very positive impact on our clients, and we hope that you will agree with that. Okay, so what you see right here is our dashboard. This is what we're calling our dashboard. This is our high-level roll-up, if you will, of client data. So you may not want to give access to everyone in your office to this particular screen, and you get to manage that via the user settings. First Data sends you one primary ID, and then you get to run with setting up all of your own users, as well as all of the maintenance on those users. So it's quite flexible and gives you the power in your hands. It's very much permission-based. So you get to decide. So if you don't want them to see this screen, you simply just don't give them access to it. Okay? So let me just give you a quick peek here of what it looks like in the user settings. So if I go under admin and I want to create a brand new user, all of this information would need to be filled out by you as the client. You're letting us know who the person is, what is their role going to be based on what their function is at your office, and then you're just clicking down here the functions that you want them to be able to see within their access. So my earlier example where you're talking about view dashboard, if you don't want them to see that main dashboard of portfolio level roll-up, you just simply don't check that for them. As we move down is account maintenance, all of the boarding for both Omaha as well as North. And then, of course, we have our chat functions as well as residuals. So let's jump back to our dashboard here. AccessOne provides you improved efficiency, really, in how you do business and how you conduct business here with us at First Data. It allows you to focus on sales rather than your back office. You no longer have to log into several different tools. You log into one tool, and we're integrating all of those tools here within AccessOne. It makes it for a streamlined process. You can train your staff quicker. Everything from boarding to account maintenance, which is located within the merchant info screen. No more MSC. We also have open batch information here for Omaha front end. We have near real-time auth for all of our front ends. We offer you chat capability with you and your merchant in real online chat. We have our integrated CRM, which is part of our case management. And also, we integrate in Service Center Web, so you no longer have to log into that tool. We provide profitability estimator, so this is going to allow you to see from a daily and weekly profitability as well as a monthly. So you can see from the very first transaction whether this merchant is profitable or not. Okay, and then we have the residual piece, which is optional within our silver and gold packages. So when we're talking about boarding, this is really going to allow you to reduce your boarding time in many cases from 3 days to 1 day, specifically as it relates to when you're boarding a North front end, because you no longer have to use the MSC process. Okay, so let's jump in here to my MPAs. I'm going to pull up my accounts here that I already had previously keyed, just to save some time here. Okay, so when you go into boarding a brand new application, you're going to come over here to One Stop, select My MPAs, and then you're going to be directed to this MPA info page. This is where you're going to be able to enter in your platform, whether it's North or Omaha, what is your client type, here's your system print, who's the sales agent, etc. We can board up to 99 locations. So very handy. Additionally, within the boarding system here, we have Standard, which is our standard paper application. We also have our Click to Agree, which is our email capture signature, and then we have our e-signature. So this is really changing the way that we do business here at First Data as well as in the industry. E-signature is your example of when you have salespeople out in the field and you want to capture that signature right on the screen, whether it's a tablet or a computer. So they're just basically signing the screen either with their finger or with a mouse. Our Click to Agree solution is our email capture signature. So the idea here is really as relates to telesales. So an example is that maybe you have somebody at your location talking to a merchant on the telephone. Okay. And then they are going to input the information that the merchant is telling them. Once it's complete, we send an email link out to the merchant. Once they agree to the information, they can actually click on the link of the MPA program guide, etc. And then once they click on that and agree to it, is the capture of a signature via email. Okay, so when you combine our Click to Agree and our e-signature with what we call our boarding templates, it really does change the way we do business. So a template here is basically saying you can set these as custom, indicating that maybe you have a situation where you want to set certain pricing for retail merchants or for restaurant, or maybe it's by front end. Maybe for your Omaha merchants you set them a certain way. So basically you're setting a template for all of your pricing, all the way down from your interchange pricing down to your additional pricing such as chargebacks, that kind of thing on month end. Okay, so these are custom templates. You name them whatever it is that you want to name them, and then when the template is pulled up, you're just getting in that information and then it's dropping into the application. And essentially what you're doing is entering the demographic information for the merchant. All of the template information pre-fills in, you click submit, and away you go. Very, very fast way to enter an application. You can even create a template that says, you know, I want to create a template just for Teresa because I want her to price every merchant she signs a certain way. Okay, so completely custom for you guys. Okay, a couple other things here about our boarding tool. We have integration into all of our front ends. So if I were to come down here to the equipment section and I were to go ahead and choose one of my front ends when I'm boarding the application. So if you're a retail client boarding through MA Plus, this is all brand new for you. So you can decide whether it's Omaha, Nashville, Northbridge, and Bypass. Right? So at this point, we're boarding the front end. All of these tabs right here, you're basically following the MPA. And by the way, you'll notice it's a very close match to the retail MPA, which is not the case with our MA Plus Legacy tool. And then when you get down to the equipment screen, this is when you're boarding the front end. So once the account passes credit underwriting, when the account is submitted and is approved, then we're going to go ahead and go out and get the equipment information in the front end terminal ID and build that file for you. So it's all very systematic, and you can essentially have your merchant up and running within 24 hours as opposed to maybe one to 3 to 5 business days for a North account. So we've integrated in all of our front ends. And not only have we integrated in all of our front ends, but all of our ancillary products, such as DataWire, Apriva, Telecheck, Global Leasing, Clover. So all of that's integrated here in our boarding tool. So what that means for you is that you no longer have to submit MSC requests to build the front end because it's all integrated within the boarding tool. Within the boarding tool, we also have a tablet solution. So again, if you have salespeople out in the street, you can go ahead and use this boarding tool within a tablet solution, as well as the Click to Agree and the e-signature capture of the signature. Okay. Within the boarding tool, we also have reporting that's going to drive you to the reports or the MPAs really that have already been submitted. These are all the accounts that have been submitted, and what you can track here is what is the status of the MPA being processed. Okay, so you can check that column there, and if you go all the way over to the right, and what you're looking for here is the underwriting. This is a demo account, so you're not going to see anything in here because these are all fictitious accounts. But what you're looking for here is whether it's approved, declined, or pending additional information from our credit underwriting. So what you're going to see is that you can come back in here. Let's see if we can find something here that's been submitted with some information. This is the test account. We're never sure. Okay, so what you see here is a summary of what's been submitted. You can see the date and time stamp of when the MPA was actually keyed, when it was sent over by the client. We also have merchant approval for that click to agree and e-signature. We're waiting for that. When was it transmitted to First Data? From there, it goes into underwriting. So what you'll see here is credit underwriting, and if there's additional information required, there'll be a hyperlink here where you can go ahead and look at that and see notes from the credit underwriter, as well as an email where you can go ahead and contact the credit underwriter and send the appropriate information. So as I mentioned, once it passes credit underwriting and you see a date and time stamp here when the account was approved, we then go out for additional locations as well as what we call endpoints. So that's going to mean your back-end mid and then your front-end terminal ID builds. So this is where you would go and find those or retrieve those to ensure that the account was built, and you can start to do your download from that point. Okay. One last thing here on boarding is that we do offer an API if you want to go ahead and board your accounts via API through your own system, and then it talks to our system, and then we just upload them. Some of you may be using the 171 file to enter your accounts. The disadvantage there is that that does board the back end through our tool here, and then when you combine it with our API, you can have the same effect. And then the benefit to you is that we are going to go ahead and integrate in the front end build here, which is not the case through the 171 file process. Okay, so let's jump over here to merchant information. Once the account's been boarded, it's going to show here within the merchant information screen. Okay, our tool does support all of our back-end platforms, Omaha, North, and Memphis, as I mentioned. Just going to go in here to an Omaha account for simplicity. And since this is a demo, I'm going to jump over here to my last batch activity and see if I can find a merchant that has some processing. So we'll jump into this auto service shop. This is going to provide you, by the way, a list of all of your merchants, and you can export that into Excel whenever you see this export right here, just like I had on the prior screen. It does have a place for you to go ahead and export out your merchant list, and then you can manipulate that however you like. Okay, so here is our merchant profile. Your merchant profile is really going to provide you what you're used to seeing in your other tools, whether it's Merchant Manager or Client eMerchant View. So it's a much easier navigation here. You can go ahead and scroll down, and it's going to show you everything that was boarded on the merchant application. What are the card types that are accepted, and then you would see all of your pricing right here under the qual, mid-qual, non-qual, etc. As you move across. This one's a demo, so we've taken out all pricing information, but you would see all merchant pricing in here, okay, as well as all of your grids. Here's your user defined, auth grid, merchant control, etc., or merchant fee control. Okay, so these are just numbers right now. A coming enhancement for the tool is for you to be able to click on these grids here, and there'll be a hyperlink where you're going to be able to go in and look and see what is actually driving on those grids, and then we'll be able to provide maintenance for you as well as a grid build. Okay, so as you come down here, here's all your chargeback fees, etc. And then as you move down, there's comments from First Data. Here's all of your chat history, so anytime you have chatted with the merchant, it logs here. So for example, if I were to click on one of these and I chatted with the merchant, I have a word-for-word accounting of what happened during the chat. So here, your customer service rep would be saying, hello, can I help you? And then the merchant replies with whatever they replied. Keeps everybody accountable, and you can always send that to a PDF and remind the merchant of what actually happened during the chat. Okay. You can upload documents if you want to. We have our document repository, and then our case history, which we'll talk about. This is integration into our CRM, which is integrated in here, as well as Service Center Web. So every time a ticket is opened through Service Center Web or an issue is logged through the CRM, it's all tracked here through the case history. Okay, so your case history is going to be your integrated CRM. And then FDC ticket is going to be your service center web tickets that were opened on behalf of this merchant. You can hyperlink in any of these and you can see the status of the service center web tickets. It is possible if you want to go ahead and turn on to have merchant initiated tickets, meaning maybe a merchant wants to change their DDA. They basically initiate a ticket. It queues up to you at the client, and then you can handle the situation that way. Here's all of your case notes that come in through the cases. Okay? You can also use your little quick links here, and then you can navigate through the merchant profile that way as well. If you want to opt a merchant into a merchant portal, it's as easy as selecting the opt. In this case, it would be opt out. Let's just go ahead and opt this merchant out. It's as easy as that. Right now, this merchant is opted out. If we want to opt them in, we would simply select opt in. Their merchant ID is going to be their user ID. You would go ahead and put in their email if it's not something you entered on the account. You can give them access to additional secondary users if you want to, where they can set up bookkeepers, etc. at their location. Click submit. It generates a password for them, and an email is generated out so they can actually go ahead and set up their access. Or if you have them on the phone, you can walk them through it simply by using this temporary password here. So let's take a look and see what it looks like from a merchant portal. So if I come over here, you can see I'm on the client side. I have all of these tabs here. If I go into the site access, because I'm now looking at the auto service shop, which is a merchant, if I site access into that merchant here, you can see it opens in another tab here in Chrome. By the way, Chrome is our preferred browser, if I didn't mention that in the beginning. You can see the merchant has fewer tabs than you do as a client, but they have all the important information that they need. They have their dashboard here, so if it's a headquarter, you can tie several MIDs together so that that headquarter or maybe agent-bank relationship has one login and they can drill down to their MIDs. They also have their deposit, their batch information, they have their authorization log, and they have near real-time auth, which we'll talk about when we get back to the client site, retrievals, chargebacks, etc. They can set up own users, tax reports, etc. They can also initiate a chat, so this is how they do that, and they would simply click on the chat and it would provide a pop-up at the client location if you guys are logged in, and then somebody who's logged into the chat system, they get a pop-up that says, Mr. Auto Service Shop wants to chat with you, do you want to accept it? Okay? So that's how that works. Now if you're not available for chat, they just simply get directed to your email or your phone. Okay, so we'll jump back to the client site now. Okay, to log into the chat system at the client site, you're just going to go ahead and select chat and make yourself available. The other thing here on the merchant profile is account maintenance. Account maintenance is a huge value add here for our clients. You no longer have to open up your your merchant service center request to do any account maintenance. So on the category right here, you're going to go ahead and select whichever category you want to change or update merchant information. Okay, so you can see here's the merchant information, and that's going to apply anything in this box behind me here that's titled merchant information. Corporate legal is going to apply to that, etc. as you move through. Right? So all of these different boxes here, if I were to select banking information, that would be anything in this box over here. Okay, so let's say I want to change something on the merchant demographic, maybe their address changed. I can stack these up too. Maybe I also want to change something on the banking, and I would put that in there too. And maybe I wanted to change something on the pricing as well. So then I could come down here to the income factors and do that as well. Okay, so let's just keep these two for now. I'm going to go ahead and select submit. Now what the system is going to return is it's going to show you in grayed out form here what we currently have on the merchant account. I selected merchant info as well as banking information, so those are the two that show. Now I'm going to only click on the one that's changed. So let's say, for example, I put it in as as Main Street, and maybe it should have been Avenue. So I would go ahead and just key in the change, and then if you're you would just go, if you were just changing the merchant information, you just go ahead and select submit, and just know that that is live on our mainframe immediately. There's no waiting 24 hours for certain changes. You won't see it immediately within AccessOne because it is report fed. However, it is live on our mainframe because we're just linking in from the background and hooking into our mainframe. So just know that it is live on our mainframe, and you will see it the following day. Same thing with banking information. Maybe you need to come down here and change the banking information. So you would just go ahead and key in whatever it is that it changed to, confirm it, click submit, and then you would know that it would be live on the account if you were a wholesale client. Now, it's a little bit different for a retail client for certain things that need validation from First Data. If you're a retail client, same process applies. Say you were going to update the banking information. As you know, we need confirmation from the merchant as well as a voided check. So you went ahead and put in the new DDA. We're going to give you another box here that shows you the old data and then the new data. Right? So we're asking you to confirm what it is that has changed. And then once I approve that, that is the change. I have another third box here that says I need to go ahead and upload paperwork, maybe just for the banking information. And from there, I'm going to go ahead and upload that voided check. Click submit, and then that's going to queue up to our team that does the same changes through MSC. And then you would go ahead and have that processed. Now, our hope is that this is going to go much quicker because you guys are doing the keying, and then our team is simply approving or declining it. Now, the way to track those for the ones that need approval would be to come over here to our approvals queue, and once you go into approval status here, this is going to drive any account maintenance changes. You can see here the approval type under account maintenance. You can see the changes that were made by the merchant, and what you're looking for, if you scroll all the way over to the right, is you're looking for FD approval. Was it approved by First Data, and what is the date and time that it was actually completed? So you'll see declined, rejected, or approved. And then if it's approved, you know it's live on our mainframe immediately. Okay. What you'll also see on the screen coming as a future functionality is what you see now is account maintenance. We're also going to be adding document repository as well as statement messaging. So this is where you'll look to see those pieces of future functionality. All right, so that is our merchant information. Okay, what I'd like to move on to next is our reporting function. So let's go over here to reporting. Within reporting, we have our payment detail. So these are all the deposits that would come in for the merchant. Your filter is always up here where you can use a date range to select whatever it is that you want. It's always going to pre-fill with the first of the current month you're in to the current date. You can always change that if you want to. You can also use your filter to change whatever hierarchy you want. So let's say, for example, you want to pull the deposits for an entire system print. You can do that, or maybe for a bank agent, etc. Or maybe you want to pull it at a platform, so it would be all of Omaha, etc. You can do it by merchant name if you don't know the number, etc. So this is a great way to filter whatever it is that you're trying to look for. Okay, so once you see the payment information in here, you can simply click into this, and you can see a full detail of what happened on the merchant deposit. So these are all of the deposits, and then the DDA and routing number that they went to. This is your full bank trace number right here. So for your retail client, this is information that you previously didn't have. You had to contact your CSA to get that. So a great way for you to provide that to the merchant if they did not get their deposit and they're wondering where it is. Batch history. This is where you're going to find information regarding the batches. So here you'll find the summary of the batch. If you want to know detail about the batch, you click into the batch number, and again, it's going to provide you with details on everything that was within that batch. Anytime you see dots under something, that is a hyperlink into additional information. So this would be your card search every time that card was used at the merchant location. This is your auth details. So this is going to provide you full auth details, including expiration date. You can also print a voucher, so if a merchant has the need to print a voucher for retrieval, they can certainly do that on a closed batch. They also can see voids and declines as well as rejected transactions. You can see the reason codes as to why they declined, were voided, or rejected. Nothing in this one because it's a demo, but if you hover over these, you would know what those reject codes are. As we move down, so here's an example of rejected transaction. So you can see here the reason codes that were entered. If I hover over these, I can see then that I get a notice that says that the card was not accepted. So you would go ahead and go back in and add that card type. And in this case, it happens to be American Express because American Express is not added as part of this merchant profile. From there, you see non-qualifying transactions. So this is going to provide you with all of the downgrades that the merchant had. So I think this is a great way for you to take a look at the merchant's processing downgrades, really. So what I like to do is go in here to the qual code, and all of these columns here are sortable and or exportable. So you can always export anytime you see the export button here and manipulate the data. So I like to go ahead and sort it by alphabetically, so then I get all my downgrades to the top. You're going to see a downgrade, a refeed class, such as like for a reward card, and then you're going to see the U, which is the upgrade, which is rare. But the downgrades are the ones you want to focus on, right? So if I come over here to the reason codes, it's going to tell me then why that particular transaction downgraded, and then I can better assist my merchant. In this case, the card was keyed, and it should have been swiped. Maybe this happened to be a foreign transaction, maybe the merchant didn't get an authorization, etc., based on the fee class or the interchange program. And then you have your transaction qualifications. So this is actually where the merchant, all of their transactions qualify, not just the downgrades like above. So if you go all the way over to the left, you're going to see all of their transactions for the date range you selected, and then you can actually see the effective rate, based on the transactions that the merchants are processing. And here you see an effective rate for all of the transactions for the date range that was selected. So good information for you here as a client. This is not provided to the client, to the merchant, only to you. So no need for you to worry that they're going to get it. Non-qualifying or downgrade transaction information is only provided at the merchant level if you turn it on. Okay, because sometimes that creates more questions. Okay, I'm not going to go through all of these, but a couple things I want to point out here. You have open batch information. You can pull it at a merchant level as well as a system print level. So if you want to see, based on the system prints, merchants that have open batches, if it's past 7 days, you might want to go ahead and call that merchant, make sure they close their batches, because that would mean they haven't been paid for those batches. Okay, and then for our wholesale clients, this is going to allow you to go ahead and force close those batches. Authorization. So this is where we're looking at what we call near real-time auth. Calling it near real-time auth because it provides you as a client access to all of our auth databases. We're sweeping our auth database every 15 minutes for Bypass, Pay Easy, Nashville, North, and Omaha. And so you have access to authorization data at your fingertips. Merchant has access to this as well. So for example, if merchant is processing on Nashville and they run a transaction maybe at noon, and then at 12:15, let's say they run a transaction at 12:05. At 12:15, we're going to pick that up. We're going to pick it up again at 12:30, 12:45, every 15 minutes, and then we're going to provide merchant the authorizations that came through. Now, while on Omaha, we can provide open batch information on Omaha backend as well as for Omaha front end. For our other front ends, we can provide near real-time auth. So it's not an actual transaction that's actually processed. However, it is an authorization which will likely result in a sale, and you will see it the following day. So great information here as a precursor to processing information the following day. Okay, a couple other things. We have retrievals and chargeback information, a plethora of information here regarding retrievals and chargebacks. A coming functionality here is that we're going to integrate into EIDS, where we're going to allow you the functionality to go ahead and action those retrievals and chargebacks from a merchant perspective. Okay, so that is our report section. One last item I want to close on here for this tab is transaction qualification. Okay, so this is our interchange management. And this is what our merchants have been waiting for our clients rather, have been waiting for a really long time as it relates to spring and fall recs, right? So what you can do here is you can create a new report. So you can create customized reporting just for your daily use, or my example regarding spring and fall regs, let's say you want to determine whether it's on a monthly or even a, maybe a yearly base, whatever it is that you want to do. Let's say we'll pick a month. We'll say December 31st. I want to take a look at maybe all my merchants in all my portfolio. I'm going to go ahead and select a category here, maybe for an interchange program. Maybe I want to look and see, to have my system pull all of the merchants that hit IRF, right? And maybe you also pull IRF for debit. So every merchant that hit the IRF category, and then also every merchant that's tiered priced. So if you have an interchange program that's being affected, maybe IRF is being increased by one of the by Visa, right? So you need to basically pull every merchant that hit IRF and that's tiered priced. So they hit both of these criteria, and then we're going to pull back a report for you, and you're going to know your exact impact for that association change. You're going to name the report, run it, and then it's going to provide a list on the screen behind me here where you can actually go in and look at that report. Okay, so we have this ready for you today, this customized reporting. What we're working on for spring regs is step 2 and 3. Step 2 is going to allow you to take the same list of impacted merchants for the association change and send out a statement message to the same list of merchants. Okay? And then thirdly, once you have that completed the following month, you can send us the same list of merchants that are impacted and ask us to do bulk merchant account updates on all of those rates. And so we would get that completed for you. So great things to come here. Okay, so that is our interchange qualification. Let me quick show you too. You can do more than just spring and fall regs. Maybe you want to pull something by MCC, right? Maybe you want to target for Clover, and you want to pull all your merchants that have a restaurant. Maybe you want to pull all of your downgrades, or maybe you want to pull all of your pass-through merchants, etc. So you can just pull different, different criteria. Maybe you want to pull Amex if you want to see all of your Amex 1 points. If you think you're going to go ahead and get your portfolio set up to be converted over to 1 point. Okay, so it's customized reporting as well. You can run these reports every month, and then once you get these reports, you can view them, and then you go in them, and then you can actually reschedule them for the following month as well, and just rerun it as a duplicate. So a lot of great things here for interchange management. Okay, our next thing here is statements. We do run 18 months worth of statements here, as well as 18 months worth of data within AccessOne, which is a great improvement over our legacy tools. Pioneer Merchant View provides 6 months of monetary data and 12 months of statements. So again, Pioneer Merchant View provides you 6 months of monetary information and 12 months of statements. AccessOne is going to provide you 18 months for both monetary as well as statement. So everything within AccessOne does stay in for 18 months, and then it drops off the end. Okay, going over to case management, this is our integrated CRM, as well as our integration into Service Center Web, which is the ticketing system here at First Data. Okay, so what we've done here is, if you have your own CRM, we've written an API that you can code to, and we have ready for you today is a reporting API that calls out for one merchant at a time. So for example, maybe you make an account maintenance change on a merchant here in AccessOne. You can go ahead and provide that information back to your CRM, one merchant at a time. What we're working on is a data dump from a bulk merchant account perspective between your CRM and our case management. Okay, so that's coming. Case management, if you don't have your CRM, is an integrated CRM that actually allows you to go ahead and track your merchant issues. So all the inquiries that come in for a merchant are tracked under My Cases and Client Tickets, and then they're tagged to the merchant account on that merchant profile page at the end, like I showed you. Also, the FDC ticket is our rebrand for Service Center Web. So when you need to open a ticket for Service Center Web, You just come in here and you open a ticket, and then it's tagged to the merchant account as well. If you have a Service Center Web ticket that you need to open that's not related to a specific merchant, you could always come in here and open it for your house account or your general account for your client, and it would always be tagged there as well. Okay, so this is really eliminating all those tools that you have to log in now, as well as providing you access to your client inquiries that come in. Okay, so let's just go take a look here. So if I were to take a look at this merchant, I can take a look at the issue that was opened for the merchant, and then if I want to look and see how it's tagged to the merchant account, I click on that little arrow, go down to case management, and now I can see this merchant had a couple of cases opened up through the CRM. They also had a couple of FTC tickets or Service Center Web tickets opened, and all of the notes are in here. I have all of the responses here as you go over, and you can hyperlink into this, showing you here what is actually entered into the case. You can assign it to someone within your organization. This pre-fills all of your users here. Just let us know what the issue is. These are all customizable by you. You can set email distributions for this. You can set a tickler date if you want to sort of ask you to follow up on it if it hasn't been resolved. Here's how you open your FTC ticket or your Service Center Web. And then you can see that launches you into the section below here. So if I open up that piece, now I'm launched into the FTC ticket or the Service Center Web piece. Here's my FTC or my Service Center Web ticket number. You can also enter in a ticket number here that ties it back to your CRM if you want to do that. And then we have information here that's exactly the same as Service Center Web. So those of you that enter Service Center Web tickets, you'll notice here that the inquiry type drop-down is exactly the same as it is within Service Center Web. We're just really hooking into that system from the backside. And then you can have the same full functionality here. You're letting us know what the issue is, adding comments, and then uploading your documentation to Service Center Web. And then we will enter in any resolutions right here within the case, and it's all tracked. Okay, so that is our CRM, as well as our integration in to Service Center Web. And that is all through our case management. Okay, the last thing I want to talk about here is our residuals. I want to briefly compare that to our profitability estimator. Okay, so profitability estimator is really a chance for you as a client to go ahead and determine if a merchant is profitable from the very first transaction. So there's some setup here. One other thing is that profitability actually allows you to choose, it's an estimator, right? So it's never going to tie to your residuals. It's telling you basically based on your client expense from first data. So you're going to take your Schedule A and you're going to enter in that cost. We're going to bounce that up against the daily and weekly profitability coming in from the merchant based on the pricing you put on for the MPA. And then we're going to tell you if you're covering that cost. Okay, so that's the daily and weekly. We also have monthly profitability, which is going to show you from a monthly perspective from your portfolio level as well as all the way down to a merchant level. And that's going to include all your month-end fees, right? Residuals, on the other hand, is really just a way for you to really let the residual engine do all the heavy lifting for you, as opposed to that big, giant, long spreadsheet that we send you or PDF on North. Okay, so we'll talk about that. So these have already happened. This is just allowing you to go ahead and determine what you want to pay your sales rep. Okay, so let's take a look at profitability here. So this is the client expense entry. So you're going to go ahead and enter in your client expense as it appears on your Schedule A. Okay, then we're going to go ahead and dive into the number of profitable merchants. This is our system has scanned and it's taken all your expense and it's balanced it against the income coming in from the merchant. It said, okay, we have some merchants here that are actually not profitable. So you can come in here before month end, before the statement goes out, before you get your residuals, and actually take a look and see why you're not profitable. Maybe you forgot to pass interchange. Maybe you didn't enter something. Maybe you fat fingered something. Gives you a chance to come in here and actually go ahead and make the change so that the merchant then can go ahead and get the correct information on their statement. So what you see here is from a transaction level. So this happens to be a $5,000 transaction. You lost $11 on it, so let's see what happened here. Now this is a demo, so I'm not sure everything is driving correctly here. But what we see here is we have our income from the merchant. We have the expense from your Schedule A. So this would all be dependent on if you entered it correctly. Now, if this were a pass-through interchange merchant, the interchange income from the merchant would match the interchange expense from the client. Same thing with the dues and assessments. We see that is actually happening right here. So you can see this is a demo, so it's not exactly driving correctly. So here's your discount here. So now, if everything is driving in discount here, so all the income probably in the case of a tiered would be coming in through the discount. So my $125 that I'm receiving from this transaction for income from the merchant would have to be more than my expense on all of my interchange dues and assessment and base discount, right? So as long as I'm more on my income than I am on my expense, and it looks like I am, then I'm covered there. Okay. You can also add in here your other volume percent, so that's going to be able to be added into your discount as well if that's how you price the merchant. There's also, then you also have to take into account authorizations as well as ABS. So what we first talked about is from a pricing perspective. Next we talk about authorizations. So it looks like here you price the merchant with 25 cents for the authorization for this. Looks like your cost is 22 cents. Seems a little high, but this is a demo. You also have an ABS cost. So you're still covered here, right? Because you brought in 25 cents. Your expense is 22. You're covered. Your ABS here brought in 5 cents. Your cost is a penny. You're good there. Now, if your authorization income is bundled into your authorization and your ticket, you're going to want to add those together. So if I take my authorization cost plus my ticket, then it looks like, oops, I'm not covered, right? Because I got here, what is that, 43 cents, which is more than my 25 cents. So that's where it looks like I went off. Okay, so you can see here it's a mini income and expense. Okay, next we move to monthly profitability, and this is just really showing you from a monthly perspective, right? So we don't have any here for December, so let's check November and see if we can get something here. This particular merchant, let's go down to a client level, or platform rather. So now what we're going to show here is from a platform perspective, and then you can drill down, and this is showing you what's your revenue expense and your net income by profitability for your entire merchant. You can go down to system prints, bank agents, etc. Okay. Residuals. Residuals is your residual engine that provides you a way for you to calculate what you're going to pay out to your sales rep. Okay, so a big value add or cost savings here for many ISOs. So what you're used to getting today is that big Excel spreadsheet or PDF. We've combined both Omaha and North here. So what you're going to see here is the summary level of that particular spreadsheet that you're used to getting on the 20th. Here we show your North and then your Omaha. If you have both platforms, if you have one, that would then just show independently. So here's your revenue, your expense, and then your net payout from First Data by platform. Okay, you can go ahead and hyperlink into this, and then you can see based on your discount, it's going to drive it in here for bank card as well as non-bank card for North, and then Omaha lumps it all together. So it's going to look a little bit different for Omaha because we tried to keep it consistent with what North looked like. Okay, so that's where the report drives in. Now, there's a little bit of setup here before you can use this. So what we've done here is go ahead and provide a wizard for you, so it takes you through step by step. So you're setting up your client. Who are your sales managers here? Do they own their own accounts, or do they simply manage others? Right? So are they getting paid sales commission on their own accounts as well as the ones they manage? Right? And then your sales agents right here, and who are the merchants that are tied to them, and then we have our miscellaneous payees. Okay, so you're setting up your organization. Then you'll have to go ahead and set your adjustment plan. Your global adjustment plan is sort of your client level settings. And then we come to our compensation plans. Okay, you can set multiple compensation plans here. Compensation plan, so maybe you have a 60% net payout, maybe you have a 50%, maybe you have a 10% sales manager plan. So maybe if I'm a sales agent and I also manage other accounts, I'm going to get paid 50% on the accounts that I own, but I also get paid 10% on the accounts that I manage for other sales reps. Right, I get a cut of that. Maybe you have a telemarketer plan, etc., or a bank referral plan, etc. So let's jump in here. So if I were to come in here, I'm going to just jump into the 60% plan and see what we have here. So my 60% net payout plan. Okay, so we have a couple things we can do here. So as it relates to what can be excluded at the client level and what the sales agent sees. So let's say, for example, at the client level, you want to exclude a couple things to not share with the sales agent, right? So in the case of an early termination fee, such as this cancellation fee, maybe you don't want to include PCI payout to your sales agent. Maybe you want to uptick the account on file. Maybe First Data charges you $5 and you want to pass on $7. You can do that, or do whatever it is that you want. Maybe your base discount, First Data charges you, 3 basis points and you want to upcharge that by 100%, you can do that as well. So you get to decide whatever it is that you want to go ahead and pass on to the sales reps for those payouts. You then go ahead and assign the agents to the plan, and then whatever merchants are tied to that sales rep ID would drive in there. Okay, so we also have agent adjustments as well as charge types. So the difference here is that agent adjustments are going to be pre-net payout adjustments. Charge types are going to be post-net payout adjustments. So this might be an example of where you want to go ahead and enter in something that you want to pay out to the sales rep after the 60% calculation has been made. Okay, think of it in terms of like your 401k payout. That is a pre-net pre-net deduction on your paycheck, as opposed to maybe a insurance adjustment, which is a post, right? So it's after the fact. Okay. So once you get all of your compensation plans set up here, then you would go ahead and drive in that report that you get on the 20th of the month, right? And then you see the payout here. Once you see these files have been received, both the Omaha as well as the North platform, then you can go ahead and start that payout process. What you'll see is a box right here that says start the payout process and begin calculation. It will take about 3 to 5 minutes to go ahead and calculate that based on all of your compensation plans. Okay, and then once that finishes, you can see I've already completed it for this month in the demo. But once that has been completed, you can then come in here to your reports, and then under your summary compensation report, that's where it's just basically going to spit out what we believe should be your payout based on the compensation plans that you have set up. Okay, so we're looking at the ISO level here, compensation plan. We've taken the report that you get on the 20th, we've merged it with your compensation plan payouts, and this is what we spit out. Okay, so these are all of your nets, or your totals, before payout, after payout. We also provide you a place here for miscellaneous adjustments. An example might be maybe you have another processor that you work with. You can go ahead and put in a flat rate payout here. We can't provide detail on that, but what we can do is go ahead and provide a flat rate payout. Maybe you just name it whatever you want. You could say, TSYS payout or whatever, and then provide a flat rate. Okay. So here's all of your users. These are all your sales reps. So you can see here from a client perspective, both from a sales rep percentage, a sales rep perspective, as well as a merchant perspective. So from a sales rep perspective, you can see, okay, these are for this particular merchant. You can see here Jennifer brought in some 28,000 revenue. She had some expense, net revenue. Her compensation was $1,600. You still made $1,400 as a client. If I want to look and see what Jennifer made, I can then hyperlink into this compensation for her. I now am looking at Jennifer's compensation report, And this is actually what Jennifer would see if you give her access to the residual module within her Access. And this provides her a full detail of what her payout is. She sees on the 50% payout plan. These are all the merchants that are tied to her plan. This is the amount that's paid out by merchant. And then if you give her access to additional details, this is optional here. She can go ahead and hyperlink on the compensation plan, and this gives a full detail. So this is what she got paid on that merchant, all the revenue and all of the expense as it stacks up. And then you can see maybe if she thought she was going to make more, this is where it actually rubber meets the road on that. Okay. If you don't give your sales agents access, you can always export it to Excel if you want to do it that way. Let's jump back to the ISO compensation. This is from a merchant perspective we just looked at, or pardon me, from a sales rep. If you want to look at it from a merchant perspective, that's where you can come in here and say, okay, me as a client, I want to see maybe from a merchant perspective, did I make money on this merchant? So let's go down to this taxi and limousine here. I can see I got 2 sales entities tied to this. So what that means is that maybe me, Teresa, and Jennifer both have this merchant for revenue. So we share the revenue for that merchant. So I have 2 sales entities tied to it. We made $800, so Jennifer and I both shared the $400. And then you as a client still made $579. Right? So this is from a merchant perspective. So you can look and see, did I make money on that merchant or not, or do I need to change my pricing on that? Okay. Right. Another thing you can do here for the miscellaneous pricing here is to maybe charge a sales rep for a piece of equipment. Maybe a merchant, purchased a terminal and then they left town or whatever, and you want to charge the sales rep for that. You can do that here based on whatever you name it, and then you just charge a flat rate and deduct that from their compensation for that merchant. Okay. Now, a future functionality is going to be your pay now functionality. This is where we're going to be able to just collect the DDA and routing information for your sales rep and or your sub ISO, and go ahead and send out an outgoing ACH once you have committed to what the payout is. So just leave that heavy lifting to us. That's a great cost offset for you, because then you can actually come in there and use this for your ACH generation, which you could then not have to worry about any costs associated with how you go ahead and pay out your ACH today, if you have costs associated to that. Okay. There's lots of reports here within the residual module as well, just so that you can track that month over month, or maybe an ACH is bouncing, that kind of thing, for a closed account. Lastly, I'm just going to talk about risk here. So this is for our wholesale clients. There is some setup here as well. So the parameter setting is where you're going to come in here and you're going to set your risk parameters. Okay, so for example, these are all of the things that you care about as a wholesale client when you're managing your risk. You would just come in here and you would set whatever it is that you want to. So for example, excessive increase in average ticket. You're going to say that if the merchant processes a transaction that is 150% of the last 90 days, so we're using a rolling average of 90 days for average ticket. If it meets or exceeds both of our criteria here, both the criteria as well as the threshold, so and it's over $50, then that means flag it, and someone needs to take a look at that. So this is a great way for you to track your merchant transactions without having to look at every single transaction, saving you time. And it just sort of queues up to a detection queue for your team to take a look at. Okay, so you're setting all of your client level settings here. Standard risk parameters, here's your duplicates, your credits, your contract, your retrievals, chargebacks, attritions, auths, deposits, etc. Okay, so you're just setting whatever it is that you want, whether it's keyed transactions, average ticket, etc., duplicate. Okay, so once you have your parameters set, I like risk scores. This is an optional piece, but risk scores allow you to prioritize the most risky transactions first, so that's the first thing that your team looks at when they come in the morning, right? So you can set what we call tiered or escalating categories. So in other words, if you have increase in processing volume daily, maybe you have increase from 250% to 350%, maybe you give that a score of a 5 because that's your lowest risky. Then your next risk score would be escalating up for the same parameter, increase in processing volume daily. Now we're moving up 350% to 500, and you're going to give that a risk score of a 10. And then moving up again, 501% up to 999,000%, and that's a risk score of a 15. So if either of any of these categories flag, then and you have risk scores set, we're then going to say, all right, put these at the top of my list because I want to see them first. Okay, risk scores is an optional thing. And then from there, you're going to set your assignments. Now, this is not assigning it to an individual per se. It's assigning it to a segment of your portfolio. Okay, so what I mean by that is where you have, maybe, here's an example, large transaction, or maybe you want to set an assignment for chargebacks and retrievals, or new merchants, or there's certain high-risk merchant profiles. So you would just go ahead and set these so that those are what's going to actually flag, right? So these are your assignments. Once you get all of your setup done, then it's just daily processing or daily detection of everything that's flagging. So you have your risk team. They come in the morning. Let's see if we're going to get something to drive here from our demo. Okay, so maybe you want to prioritize. I would probably prioritize it by risk score if you have that set, because I like that. Puts those most risky things first. Now what you're going to see when you come in here, you're going to see all of the merchants that flagged for the criteria you set, and it's actually sorted by the highest risk parameter, or the risk score rather. So now I can see what makes up this. This is a 15. Remember, that was the high processing volume. So now I can see excessive increase in processing volume. It hit the 501 to the 999,000, and it hit a risk score of a 15. So something on this merchant actually hit a very high processing volume. Okay, so what I can do here is I can click on this merchant, and what it does is it takes me to the risk report for that merchant. Okay, and it gives me additional information so I can better decision what to do with this merchant. As a wholesale client, do I want to actually suspend the transaction, or do I want to let it process? So I can look at history here. So here's the merchant demographic. I can see based on volume and ticket analysis over time. Here's the daily, 7-day, month-to-date for both volume and ticket. Retrieval and chargebacks, keyed analysis. Here's all of their sales information, key to swipe data, their authorization data. You can actually come in here and hyperlink into the batches if you want to know that. And then you can open investigations. So for example, kind of like our ticketing system or case management within General AccessOne. So for example, maybe you have a merchant that's flagging every day. So you go ahead and open an investigation here. And you say, I want to open what's called a case. So the merchant, maybe an example is, you want to open an investigation that says, okay, oops. So I have a status here. I'm going to go ahead and put this as, I need further investigation on this particular item. I'm going to go ahead and assign it to, whoever it is, somebody in my office, and I'm going to put in here, please request sales slip from merchant. And then you can actually say, pending merchant. You can open an investigation. What that does then is it creates basically a case, and then you can follow up on it. Add additional notes. So the next time when you come in here, you can see, okay, this happened before on this date and time. And then you can see, what did we do? Okay, we were good with that. Merchant knew this particular cardholder. I'm good with that. Go ahead and let it through. Okay, so that is our risk report. Let's move back to our detection queue. Once we have made further information on what we want to do with that transaction. You can see it turned pink because we've already worked this transaction. We can see we're 16% complete because we're whittling our way down on the items that need to be looked at. If, for example, you're a new person and you want to go ahead and have maybe a senior person take a look at this, you can uncheck that. It removes the pink, and then somebody else can take a look at it. Right? So that is our risk detection queue. There's lots of different reporting in here that you can actually take a look at, as well as customization. In those opening up those investigations, you can set escalation queues, you can set custom reasons as to why you want to open cases, etc., based on specifically how you do business. So you can even put in there something like, I'm closing the case because, Mr. Risk Manager, so-and-so said I could close it. Okay, and then there's the reporting based on, risk folks or management that need to know, everything that's been processed as far as the risk daily reporting for the day or month. Okay, so that is our risk engine. Okay, so this is actually AccessOne. One thing I forgot to mention here is the branding piece, right? So we jump back here. Your logo is here, so this is a nice feature for AccessOne because you actually get to set your own branding. Very easy to do. You're just coming in here to your themes. You're uploading your logo, and we're going to drive it in here so that you have brand recognition with your merchants. And you can set it to varying hierarchies. Say, for example, if you have a sub-ISO relationship, or if you have a sales agent, maybe that has their own logo, you can drive it down to different hierarchies if you want. Or you can do it by system print. Completely up to you. You can have multiple logos driving brand recognition that's going to drive to your merchant portal when you opt them in. Okay. Let's then talk about some of your cost offsets from a sales perspective. So you're definitely going to want to talk to your RPD about some of your pricing options here. So the pricing options that we have available for AccessOne are bronze, silver, and gold. Bronze provides you your base price. So the big difference here is that you're getting charged by open account versus account on file. So this is a big differentiator from a sales or cost perspective for you as a client, because when we're doing the counting on the number of accounts that we're charging you for that base price, right? So if bronze is $1, then we're going to charge you for $1 for each open account, not account on file. So that greatly reduces your cost for Omaha clients. The reason for that is because we're keeping it consistent with how we bill on North. So big advantage for you. Okay, so bronze is going to provide you that base cost, so $1, and then you have your additional per merchant opt-in. So every time you opt in a merchant, you're going to go ahead and pay that additional $2.95 per merchant that you opt in. Okay, silver is going to give you the ability to go ahead and add in your residuals. It's going to be that standard base price of $1.25 for your open accounts, not your account on file. You still have with silver that additional $2.95 per merchant opted in. Okay, and then it's when you get to the gold package where we have many of our clients really jumping on the bandwagon for gold, because it's really the place where you're going to be able to get the biggest value. So gold includes residuals for you, but what it does drop off is you're going to pay the $2 for the standard open accounts versus account on file. Then you do not have to pay any additional per merchant opt-in, so that becomes $0. And so when you have, a certain segment of your portfolio opted in for your merchant portal, say even as low as, or even as high as rather, a quarter of your merchants, this is where you're going to be able to see, once you get to the quarter mark, say for example you're paying, you're paying that base price, and then you're opting in a quarter of your merchant portfolio at $2.95 each. When you're getting at the 1/4 mark of your portfolio, you've now reached the same cost offset that you would be able to opt in all your merchants under gold, paying that $2. Okay, so something definitely to take a look at from a cost offset perspective. Okay. Some other cost offsets is that if you're using our legacy tools and you're getting charged for those, then that would be something that would be removed. Also, another thing to also remember is that our legacy tools such as MAE Plus, Client eMerchant View, as well as AMA are all going to be sunset in 2016. Okay. If you have your own CRM and you're looking to save costs there, whether in programming or consolidate everything, you can go ahead and do what many of our clients are doing and going to our solution for an integrated CRM here through our case management. You can save costs there. Another cost offset might be for you within the boarding tool. If you have several individuals that are boarding for you and it's very time consuming, our one-stop boarding tool is actually saving lots of our clients lots of time because now they don't have to go to a separate process to integrate or board that front end. And they can save some staffing there. Okay, I mentioned residuals. If you are paying somebody else to do your ACH, that is all part of our package here within the silver and gold. Once we get the pay now functionality, which by the way is a future functionality, once we get that into place, where we're paying out your sales agent, you just provide us the DDA information. We'll send that ACH out on your behalf for no additional charge. Something else you can do for cost offset is postage. So let's say, for example, you want to go ahead and opt in all your merchants in our gold package. You can give them their online access, and then you no longer have to send out paper statements. You can save postage by not sending out those paper statements. You will still have, however, your statement fee because we still have to create that statement. We just wouldn't have to charge you for the postage to send it out, hard copy, if you were to opt them in for online statements. And the last thing here is if you are a wholesale client and you're paying additional costs for RowNet or the reporting system, and as you know, that's charged per page, so that might be a huge way for you to really offset some of your costs. We've had some clients, and they really take a look at what they're paying per page on some of their RowNet transmissions through MessageWay. Many of those reports are actually, I would say probably 75 to 80% of those reports are actually already driving in here to our AccessOne tool through the reports tab as well as throughout the entire tool. So you no longer have to get those coming to you, and you can save cost there. So many times clients are actually able to save money by reducing those RowNet page costs and get additional benefits through AccessOne and opting all the merchants in, etc. Okay, some other benefits here are mobile and tablet. So AccessOne is available for all of your staff at the client level on mobile as well as tablet. We have a app that you can download both on any kind of tablet as well as your phone. So that provides basic information where you can actually go in and board a merchant through the tablet. And then the phone would provide less detail or structure rather, because it's just not big enough for you to board a merchant on a phone. Right? We also have a mobile and tablet solution for your merchant, so it really brings us into the modern age there, as well as the chat feature, bringing us into the modern age. Okay, we talked about brand loyalty. You have the ability to go ahead and run messages to your merchant base if you want to. So a great way to send out messages such as, I want to go ahead and provide you access to your AccessOne, and here's the way for you to do it. You can send out based on whatever grouping you want. Maybe you want to send something out to certain merchants. Maybe you want to send them out to your sales agents, saying we have a great contest going on. First person to get a certain amount of sales can get an iPad, etc. What this is not used for is for you to send out messages for maybe a statement message. It does not replace that. These are customer service messages. Okay, that is AccessOne. And what I want to end with here is that AccessOne is eliminating many of the other tools that you use today. This is our effort to go ahead and reduce how hard it is for you to do business with us here at First Data, particularly if you are on multiple back ends, right? So many of our boarding tools, actually all of our boarding tools, AMA, MA Plus, Client eMerchant View, are all being sunset this year. And then other tools are not being necessarily sunset. However, we are integrating into those tools from the backside. So you no longer need sign-ons for those. So FTPOS management, First Deploy, DataWire, Apriva, bypass tools, client line, merchant manager, MSA, MSC, Service Center Web, your residuals, any BAM sheets. So those are a few of them that we're actually going to be able to eliminate for you the need to be able to log into those. Okay. All right, so that completes our demo here for AccessOne. I hope it was helpful for you. And if you have any additional questions, don't hesitate to reach out, and we can get you taken care of. Thanks, everyone, and thanks for joining.